My husband accused me of the unthinkable, demanded $50,000, and then threatened to harm our unborn baby when I refused to pay him. I never saw this coming after 8 years together. Now I'm hiding at my sister's house, while he sends increasingly disturbing messages. I don't know what to do. 32F. Never thought I'd be writing this. I'm shaking as I type, and I've rewritten this post about 10 times because I keep breaking down. I need advice, support, or just, I don't know, someone to tell me I'm not losing my mind. My husband Derek, 35M, and I have been together for 8 years, married for 5. Until 2 weeks ago, I would have told you we had a solid marriage. Not perfect, no marriage is, but we communicated well, rarely fought, and were genuinely excited about our future together. I'm currently 6 months pregnant with our first child, a little girl we've already named Emma. This all started 3 weeks ago, when I went to my college reunion. I graduated from a small liberal arts college about an hour from where we live now, and every 5 years, they do a big reunion weekend. I was really looking forward to it, seeing old friends, showing off my baby bump, just having a fun weekend. Derek couldn't come because he had a work conference the same weekend, which was fine. We're both pretty independent and trust each other completely. Or at least, I thought we did. The reunion was great. I reconnected with my old roommate Sarah, caught up with professors I'd been close to, and yes, I saw my ex-boyfriend James, 33M. James and I dated for about a year and a half in college. It was a typical college relationship, intense at the time, but we were both kids who had no idea what we were doing. We broke up junior year, stayed cordial, and honestly, I hadn't thought about him in years beyond the occasional, I wonder what he's up to, that you have about old friends. At the reunion, James and I talked for maybe 20 minutes total. It was perfectly pleasant and completely platonic. He's married too, has 2 kids, and we literally just did the, "How have you been? What are you up to now?" small talk. There were probably 30 other people around us the entire time. I took a few group photos that he was in, along with 15 other people from our graduating class. That was it. I thought nothing of it. I came home Sunday evening, excited to tell Derek about the weekend. He seemed off when I got there, quiet, withdrawn. I asked if something happened at his conference, and he said no, just tired. Okay, fine. We all have those days. But over the next few days, he got worse. He was cold, barely speaking to me, sleeping on the couch. When I tried to talk to him about it, he'd say, "I'm fine," in this tone that clearly meant he was not fine. This went on for almost a week. I was getting worried. Was he having second thoughts about the baby? Was something wrong at work? Was he having an affair? My mind was going to dark places. Finally, one night, I cornered him and said we needed to talk. That his behavior was scaring me, and it wasn't healthy for me or the baby to be this stressed. That's when everything exploded. Derek told me he knew about my affair with James. I literally laughed because I thought he was joking, but he wasn't. He was dead serious, his face red, veins popping in his neck. He said he'd seen the photos from the reunion on Facebook. I'd been tagged in the group photos, looked up James, and put it all together. I was stunned. I tried to explain that James was just an old boyfriend from college, that we'd barely spoken at the reunion, that there was absolutely nothing going on. Derek wasn't having it. He said he knew how these things worked, that college sweethearts always carry torches for each other, that the reunion was probably just an excuse for us to reconnect, that I'd probably been in contact with him for months. None of this was true. I showed him my phone, my messages, my emails, everything. There was nothing because there was nothing. I hadn't communicated with James in literally years, beyond maybe liking a Facebook post here and there. Derek looked through everything and I could see he wasn't finding what he was looking for, but instead of backing down, he just got angrier. He started saying that I'd obviously deleted everything, that I was smarter than that he wasn't an idiot. I was crying at this point, begging him to believe me, telling him I loved only him and would never do that to him or our marriage. He just kept shaking his head, saying he knew the truth. Then he dropped the bomb that made me realize this was about more than jealousy or insecurity. Derek told me that if I wanted to fix this and save our marriage, I needed to pay him $50,000. I actually asked him to repeat it because I thought I'd misheard. But no, he wanted $50,000 as compensation for the emotional distress and humiliation I'd caused him. He said it so matter-of-factly, like he was presenting a business proposal. He even had a number in mind for how I should pay it. He wanted me to take out a loan against my inheritance from my grandmother. For context, my grandmother passed away 2 years ago and left me about $80,000. Derek and I had agreed to save it for Emma's college fund. It's in an account in my name only because that's how my grandmother's will specified it. Derek has always been fine with this, or so I thought. I told him absolutely not. This was insane. I hadn't done anything wrong, and even if I had, which I hadn't, you don't extort your spouse for money. That's not how marriages work. I told him he needed to calm down, that we should go to couples counseling, that we needed to work through whatever was actually going on here because it clearly wasn't about James. That's when he changed tactics. His whole demeanor shifted from angry to cold and calculated. He said, very calmly, that if I didn't pay him, he would make sure I regretted it. When I asked what that meant, he said, "You're carrying my child. I have rights. I could make things very difficult for you." I felt ice run through my veins. Was he threatening our baby? I asked him directly, "Are you threatening to hurt our daughter?" He didn't answer directly. Instead, he said, "I'm saying that if you don't give me what I deserve after what you've done to me, you'll find out that I can be very resourceful. Accidents happen all the time, especially to pregnant women. Stress causes miscarriages. Maybe you'll slip on something. Maybe you'll have an unfortunate fall. Who knows? I need you to understand. My husband, the man I've loved for 8 years, the man who cried when we found out we were having a girl, who spent weeks building the crib and painting the nursery, was standing in our living room threatening the life of our unborn child over money and a completely fabricated affair. I didn't say another word to him. I went upstairs, threw some clothes and essentials in a bag, and left. I drove to my sister's house. She lives about 30 minutes away, and I've been here ever since. That was 10 days ago. Since then, Derek has been sending me messages that alternate between apologetic and threatening. Some of them say he loves me and misses me, and wants me to come home so we can work it out. Others say I'm making a big mistake, and that I don't know what he's capable of. He's sent me Venmo requests for $50,000 with notes like, "You know what this is for," and "Payment for services rendered." He's called me 47 times. I've answered once, and he immediately started screaming at me about the money. My sister is amazing and has been so supportive, but she's also terrified. She thinks I need to go to the police. Part of me agrees, but another part of me keeps thinking, this is my husband, the father of my child. What if he's having some kind of breakdown? What if he needs help? What if involving the police makes everything worse? But then I remember him saying, accidents happen to pregnant women, and I feel sick. I've talked to a divorce lawyer, just a consultation. She said that his threats, especially regarding the baby, are very serious and could constitute domestic violence and harassment. She said I should absolutely file a police report and get a restraining order. She also said that his demand for money is essentially extortion. I've also reached out to Derek's brother, Mike, who I've always been close with. Mike is shocked and says Derek has been acting strange lately, missing family dinners, being paranoid about various things, making weird comments about money. Mike thinks Derek might be having mental health issues, possibly a breakdown of some kind. But Mike also said that regardless of what's going on with Derek mentally, I need to protect myself and the baby first. Here's where I'm stuck. I still love Derek, or at least I love who he was before this nightmare started. Part of me wonders if this is some kind of psychotic break or extreme stress response. He's been under a lot of pressure at work. His company has been doing layoffs, and maybe the pregnancy made him panic about money. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here trying to understand how the man I married turned into this. But every time I think about maybe trying to talk to him again, I remember the look in his eyes when he threatened our baby. That wasn't the man I married. That was someone I didn't recognize, and that person scares me. My sister wants me to file for the restraining order tomorrow. My lawyer says the same thing. My mom, who I finally told yesterday, is beside herself and wants me to never speak to Derek again. But I keep thinking, what if he gets help? What if this is temporary? What if I'm giving up on our marriage too easily? Then again, he threatened my baby. Our baby. His baby. What kind of father does that? I'm also worried about the practical stuff. We own a house together. We have joint bank accounts, which I've now frozen my access to. What happens when Emma is born? Will he try to take her from me? Will he actually hurt her? These thoughts keep me up at night. The most confusing part is that I've gone through everything in my mind, trying to figure out if I missed signs that something was wrong. But I honestly can't think of anything. Yes, he's been stressed about work, but nothing that seemed abnormal. He's never been jealous or controlling before. He's never mentioned money problems or seemed resentful about my inheritance. He's never, ever been violent or threatening. This came out of absolutely nowhere. I guess I'm asking, what do I do? Do I file the police report and restraining order? Do I file for divorce? Do I try to get him to agree to a psychiatric evaluation? Do I just wait and see if he comes to his senses? I'm terrified of making the wrong choice, but I'm also terrified of doing nothing. And honestly, I'm also just heartbroken. 2 weeks ago, I was happily married and excited to become a mom. Now I'm hiding at my sister's house, jumping every time I hear a car door and wondering if the father of my child is going to hurt us. How did my life fall apart so completely in such a short time? If anyone has been through something similar or has advice, I really need to hear it. I'm lost. Update. Thank you all so much for the responses. I'm reading every comment, even if I can't respond to them all. The overwhelming consensus is clear: protect the baby, file the report, get the restraining order, and stop trying to rationalize his behavior. You're right. I think I needed to hear it from strangers who don't have an emotional attachment to the situation. I'm meeting with my lawyer again tomorrow morning, and we're going to the police station afterwards. My sister is coming with me. I'm still scared. I'm still heartbroken, but I'm also angry now, which I think is progress. This man threatened our child. There's no excuse for that, breakdown or not. My job is to protect Emma, and that's what I'm going to do. I'll update again when I have more information. Thank you all again. Update 2. I filed the police report this morning. The officer I spoke with took everything very seriously, especially the threats about the baby. They're classifying it as domestic violence and harassment. I also filed for an emergency restraining order, which was granted. Derek is not allowed to contact me or come within 500 feet of me. He was served with the order this afternoon. Within an hour of being served, he violated it. He showed up at my sister's house, banging on the door and screaming that I'd ruined his life, and that I owed him. My sister had already prepared for this possibility. We had cameras installed, and she called the police immediately. They arrived within minutes and arrested him for violating the restraining order. He's currently in jail. According to the officer who called me, he'll have a bail hearing tomorrow. But given that he violated the restraining order within hours of receiving it, they're recommending he be held without bail until trial. I should feel relieved, but I just feel numb and sad. This is really happening. My marriage is over. The father of my child is in jail. Nothing about this feels real. My lawyer says we're in a strong position for the divorce proceedings given everything that's happened. She also says that Derek's threats and behavior will likely impact custody arrangements. He'll probably get supervised visitation at best. At least initially. Derek's brother Mike came by tonight. He's devastated. He told me that he tried to talk to Derek this morning after the restraining order was filed, but before Derek showed up here. Apparently, Derek was ranting about how I'd stolen from him, how that money was rightfully his, and how he was going to get what's his, no matter what. Mike said it was like talking to a stranger, that Derek's eyes were wild, and he wasn't making sense. Mike thinks Derek might be having a mental breakdown, or might be on drugs. But he also said that doesn't excuse any of this and that I'm doing the right thing. I asked Mike if Derek has ever acted like this before, even a little bit. Mike said no, never, which makes this even more confusing. He said their family is going to try to get Derek evaluated while he's in custody. See if there's a mental health issue that explains this sudden change. Part of me hopes there is an explanation because at least then this makes some kind of sense. But another part of me knows that even if there is, it doesn't change what he said and did. It doesn't change that I can't trust him around our daughter. It doesn't change that our marriage is over. I have an appointment with my OB tomorrow to make sure all the stress hasn't affected the baby. I'm also starting therapy next week because I clearly need help processing all of this. Thank you all again for your support and advice. I don't know what's going to happen next, but at least I know Emma and I are safe for now. That's what matters. I'll update if anything significant happens, but hopefully, the next update will just be that Emma arrived safely and we're doing okay.